Good morning. I have given you a lot of things to think about, including some description of heaven, at least to think about it. I don't know if you can follow me with this or not, but the reality of it is it's what gives us the abilities that we have. For instance, to stroke survivors and brain injury support people, one thing we know is we're stronger than we think we are. Because in the beginning, we were in God. We were cells in a body. Our souls are still in God. They still are connected. But most of us, because once we became sent to this place, we are separated. So we can't take full advantage of that connection. But we still have it, whether we understand it or not. There are a few people who are more gifted, maybe, than others from the standpoint of they can understand it. We call them psychics, or there's all kinds of things we call them. But psychics would be an answer. People that can see ghosts, spirits, those kind of things. Do they exist? Yes. They are your souls. Are they connected? Sometimes to property, yes, because that's what you chose over the whole. You chose property. You chose to separate and stick with the separation. So that's why it appears that things get absorbed in certain material items. But that's beyond the point. What I'm trying to get across to you now is where you have your inner strength. Your inner strength comes from that being able to draw from the whole. And that all comes from your connection with God. Which brings me to this subject, which is a tough one. Some people, have a hard time describing God. And that's as it should be. When Moses asked God who he should tell Pharaoh sent him, God said, "You can't even conceive of me. I am that I am. No name can contain me. You can't even see all of me without being killed." So I'm going to show you the back part of me, just a small portion. And it'll still be maybe too much for you to handle, but we're going to do that. What that tells us is that you can recognize, you can know, but it's a knowing in your heart, not in your mind necessarily, but in your heart. You know. These psychics may not really be able to see, but they can feel. They know. Sometimes they can feel it, sometimes they can hear it. Sometimes you just get a feeling you're being watched, and you feel that. But these are all things that can lead to your inner strength. You have inner strength. You need to use it because you're challenged now more than ever. You've got physical incapacities. You've got limitations you've never had before. But you also have power. A power that you never knew. But that counts on a couple of things. Number one, it counts on your relationship to God, however you see it or however you know Him. It counts on your relationship. And that means it also counts on your relationship with your brethren, your caretakers, your caregivers, fellows who have been damaged the same way you have, or have had similar situations occur, but it gives them the strength to carry on, and that emboldens you and empowers you to carry on. That's what you need to remember. You have far more strength than you really know. Jesus showed it to some degree, and people were amazed. They considered it miracles, but he didn't. He didn't consider it a miracle at all. He knew it was real. I tell you today, how many people have seen faith healing? Is it real? Yes. Faith healing is real, but it's not because the person who laid the hands on them made them better. It's because they believed enough to be better. They asserted that power that they have. Jesus told you, if you look at a mountain and if you believe enough, you could move that mountain. It's real simple. But most people have a hard time believing because they look at other people to define. And I'm telling you, you cannot define God, but you can feel him. You can get to know him. Jesus was the Son of God. He came here to tell you how to live your life so that the Father would be happy. He tried to make you right with their Father. That's what he did. He said, we all know that sin, the punishment for sin is death. I'll take your punishment if you'll change to be a good child of God. And he did. But by his gift, if you believe enough that you change your life to act like a good son of God, a good child of God, then you can forgive yourself and you can assume the power that you already have, that you can't recognize because it's not something that somebody else can point out to you. But I'm telling you, as you go through life, look at how many people have survived what they shouldn't have. How many people have lived well beyond what they should have. And yet they had faith. They may not be able to understand it. They may not be able to explain it. Sometimes their faith may be different than yours. They name their God different than you. That doesn't make it different. It's just their name. It doesn't make the understanding different. It's just by the terms they understand and they know where you don't. They don't understand why gifts were given. And without understanding that, how can you understand what Jesus did for you? And if you understand it, then why aren't you living like he told you to? Anyway, what I'm here to tell you is whether you understand it or you don't understand it, God has given you more power than you could possibly imagine. Stand up. Look in your heart. Talk to your Father. Love him and he will love you. Show him how you are going to apply yourself. And you don't have to be weak. You don't have to be afraid that you can't overcome. You can overcome anything. That's why he gave you feelings. With feelings, you have dominion. You have control of your world. What do you believe? You have control of nothing if you don't believe it. If you believe in him and you believe in what Jesus told you, then live it. It's not somebody else's healings saved somebody. It's their own faith that saves them. As I said, there was a time where Jesus was walking through a town and this lady touched him. And he felt it. And he felt it, the goodness leave him. He felt that surge in power. And he looked around and he said, "Who touched me?" And she said, "I did." And she explained that she had a physical problem that was causing her to bleed all the time. And he looked at her and he said, "Your faith has made you whole. Go and tell the church what has happened here." Now, he told her that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was her faith that made her whole, not the church. not anything other than her faith. She had more power than she knew. She could have stopped that if she believed. But she believed in another man. She didn't believe necessarily in God. What you have to do is believe in the God that is within your heart. If you do that, you'll be whole. I love you, and I hope you find the strength and the courage and the wisdom. I hope you'll sit and you'll talk to God and listen, and He'll talk to you. Love you. See ya.